Welcome to the C-Suite Mentor, the place where you will learn the tools, strategies, and mindset to scale your business sustainably and build a lasting legacy. I'm your host, Theresa. As a fellow CEO, I understand what it takes to scale a business to 7 and multiple 8 figures. It's not necessarily what you might think. It requires a complete shift in how you think, strategize, and execute key actions in your business. My mission is to help CEOs step back into the driver's seat of their business by optimizing their operations, empowering their team, and staying in total alignment with their big vision. So, are you ready to exchange everything that hasn't worked for strategies that will? You're in the right place, so let's go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the C-Suite Mentor podcast. I am your host, Theresa. Thank you so much for joining me here. This episode is going to be a little different than what we're normally used to. It will be 13 years next month, 13 years since I had my traumatic brain injury. It's something I don't talk a whole lot about, and I don't know why, because I have mentors, I have coaches, I have people that I follow online that have had similar things happen, have had injuries or accidents or whatever, and they talk about, what they learned from it. And for some reason, I don't really talk about it a whole lot. But I wanted to talk about it today. Number one, because business owners have had so many challenges. There have been so many things that we have had to navigate since the pandemic. Employee engagement is down and people are frustrated. And I think the energy in the world is just one of, everybody is waiting for the next shoe to drop. And I think that there's a lot that I wanted to talk about that can help, whether you're a business owner, a CEO, an employee, can help people get through challenges and get to the other side of them. So when I had my traumatic brain injury, and it is something that if you've ever had one, whether it's a concussion or some other kind of head trauma, I actually had 2 different types, one right in a row. But it is something that stays with you pretty much forever. And you have to learn how to adapt and change and really focus on paying attention to what your body's telling you, what your mind is telling you, and how, like I said, how to adapt with it. And I think that with challenges just in life, challenges in business, we need to learn how to pivot and understand that a pivot isn't a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, whether it's helping you course correct, whether it's helping you to go to that next level of growth that you really want in your business. It's a good thing. All right. Whether we need to shift directions because something we've been focusing on knocking on a door that really isn't ours to knock on, it's always a good thing. So, going back to the traumatic brain injury and what happened with me back in 2011, we were at an event, and I'm going to condense it down. But we were at an event. It was my husband and me and my best friend and her husband. And I had the worst headache of my entire life. The worst headache. My husband and my best friend were talking to me. I couldn't understand what they were saying. Um, it was like the world and life and everything was moving very slow. And I just couldn't, I couldn't understand what was happening. And after I could hear a little bit better again, I just had this horrific headache. Fast forward a week later, and I had this tremendous neck pain like you could not believe. Initially, the doctors thought that I had a disc that was out of place, either a bulging disc or something that was slipped, or something happening in my neck with my vertebra. And went to the doctor, and they were attributing the headache to that, or dehydration, because I didn't have enough water that day and it was really hot. and got a test done and got a phone call from the doctor that said I had an MRI on my neck, and I got a phone call from the doctor, and the doctor said, "You need to get to the emergency room now. Um, where I'm sending an ambulance, and you need to get on that ambulance and go to the emergency room. I will meet you there." And I was like, "No, I don't know what's going on." Like, and he wasn't really being very specific. All he said was, "We believe you have an aneurysm, and if you do, where it is in your neck, you could die." So, and in typical Teresa fashion, I talked him into letting me have my best friend, drive me to the emergency room. And that's what we did. So, what we found out after all these tests, and as soon as we got there, it was like everybody was rushing around. They were rushing me around. Meanwhile, I couldn't move my neck and from the week prior, and it was just mass chaos. And again, I had no idea what was going on with me. All I knew is they said, you possibly have an aneurysm, and we need to hurry because it's in the artery in your neck that feeds your brain. So, long story longer, what we ended up finding out was that I had something called a vertebral artery dissection. So you have your carotid artery and you have your vertebral artery, and your vertebral artery, which pumps blood to your brain, particularly the part of your brain that controls balance. Some memory was impacted, my hearing. That artery was torn, and it was torn the entire length of my neck up into my head. So at the end, in the middle of the night, when we finally got the results, and it was funny because I talked them into letting me go home because I did not want to stay there. If you know anything about me, I am a germaphobe. I do not like hospitals. I do not like public bathrooms. I'm nuts. I know. But what we found out, and what the doctor said, is that yes, indeed, the entire length of my neck, that artery, that main artery, was torn. And it's a whole thing where the lining tears away from the artery, and I don't know, all the scientific stuff happens. But what happened is it had caused a clot in my brain, and what I had been experiencing were potentially, or what they believe was, I was experiencing a series of TIAs, which are mini strokes. And that was the headache. I had lost vision a couple times, where I was looking at someone and I had big black pieces missing. I had lost my hearing in my left ear. And they believe that that's what the cause of all of this was, considering, I think, from the time that we think it started, when initially it happened, and whether it was spontaneous or not really sure what else it was caused by, but um, it was a period of probably 2 weeks. So the things that they had seen on all of the scans told them that I had this clot in my brain, and I had this torn artery in my neck, and where the clot was and what they were seeing, that I probably had a series of TIAs, small strokes. So, lo and behold, I have this diagnosis and didn't really understand fully what it was, but said, okay, or what the impacts were going to be. So, had to heal from it. And they don't necessarily tell you that when you have a traumatic brain injury, and the way that they get this type of injury to heal is actually through rest and medication. They used to actually go in and do surgery and put stents in. They didn't do that with me because it was extremely long. So, with my age, because at the time I was only 35, 34. How old am I? I was 34. I was 34. Doing the math. No, I was 35. I was 35. So they said, let's get this to try and heal on its own with rest and medication. So, year after that, my best friend and I at this same event are walking and we get run over by a golf cart. And when we got run over by the golf cart, I got thrown and ended up with another head injury, and had a concussion. And of course, they are worried that, oh my gosh, something's going to happen again. So I had to go through a whole new series of tests and to make sure that everything was okay in my neck. There were no clots. And what it was just a very serious concussion. So, what they don't tell you and what I experienced in both times going through this is that your memory suffers, your focus suffers. I had balance issues. And even to this day, I still have balance issues. The left side of my body is just not the same as it was. And they don't necessarily explain all of this in the moment. Even going through vestibular therapy and going through cognitive behavioral therapy and going through a lot of the therapy that you have to go through, they don't necessarily fully or at least they didn't with me, that this is a lifelong thing that you're going to deal with. And this is something that, again, I still have memory issues. I still have balance issues. And my left side of my body is not the same. So when this all happened, I go back to work and I'm like expecting, because I was a director of operations, I was expecting to just go back and be normal and just go right back into a normal routine, and realized pretty quickly that that wasn't going to be the case. So, things that I was able to do before, such as keep my to do list in my head or multitask from thing to thing to thing, I struggled with after this all happened. And what ended up coming out of this, if you've ever heard me tell this story, was as a form of therapy, because I was getting frustrated because I didn't think the therapy was moving fast enough for me. And I was just getting frustrated with the whole healing process, that I decided I was going to take a program. And what it taught me was, and it was a business program, and what it taught me was to tap into something that I didn't realize was a super strength of mine, which was developing processes and really like setting some goals and developing a process to achieve those goals. And this was something that was completely different for me because prior to that, I didn't really focus on those things. I was one of those people that was just focusing on just pushing results through and doing whatever I needed to do to get it done. And the way that I managed my team was by tasks. And this was completely different for me, completely different. So my first goal that I really learned how to set was because I had trouble getting out of bed in the morning. I had trouble waking up in the morning because your brain it's healing. And I was like, "Come on, we need to move faster. This isn't moving fast enough for Theresa." So I really had to learn a whole new way. But learning that whole new way and going through these challenges of trying to focus on things, sitting at my desk and trying to focus on the list of tasks that I needed to do and the things that my department needed to accomplish. It was really hard after going through both of these head injuries, one super life threatening and one that just compounded the first one. And I really had to change, and I really had to stretch my own capacity and my own mind and really dig deep to figure out what I was truly made of. And my first goal that I set when I tapped into this superpower that I really didn't realize I had until I went through this challenge, my first goal was, okay, Teresa, you need to get up, you need to brush your teeth, you need to get dressed, and you need to go downstairs. Like that was it. That was what I started with. And then from there, and this all came from going through this business program, and my first business program I had ever gone through. And I kept building and building and learning a new way, learning a different way how to lead my team, learning a different way how to take, okay, what is it that we as a department want to accomplish? Because I was a director of operations, but I was also a director of marketing. I wore two hats. But what are the things that we want to accomplish and how are we going to get there? And how was I going to help my team the best possible way to streamline what we were doing so that we could achieve things faster? Again, something that we had never done prior to me going through this life threatening injury. So, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is for exactly that is challenges happen, obstacles happen to show us a better way. But most of us look at those obstacles as solely obstacles or challenges as only challenges, struggles as only struggles, and we can't get past them. I have had numerous conversations with people over the past 5 years where they have looked at the challenges that have been thrown their way, the economy, the pandemic, struggles with trying to hire people and retain them, struggles with trying to get loans and financing. They have looked at those and solely thought of them as obstacles trying to prevent them from achieving success or trying to prevent them from making money. And some of those people that I've had conversations with decided to throw in the towel and close their doors. While others that I've had those conversations have said, you know what? I wonder what's on the other side of this. And decided that they were going to look at these obstacles and find a new way or a new way around them, find a new way through them or a new way around them. Just like with all of the adversity that I went through, um, having the brain injuries that I had and having to deal with it, not just for a month, for 2 months, for 6 months, for a year, but really having to adapt and change pretty much, I mean, even to today, that we can get through these challenges. We can get through these obstacles. We can get through these challenges. But we have to learn how to lead differently, to show up differently, and how to take action differently. So there's three things that we need to do or that we want to think about when a challenge comes our way. And these are the three things that I looked back when I was just thinking about it and it was funny because I wasn't even, like I said, I don't really even talk about it a whole lot and I wasn't even thinking about it. And something like came into my head this morning. I was doing yoga. And again, I have balance problems when it comes to my left side. And I was doing yoga this morning and I was really struggling. And I didn't sleep. I haven't slept well in the past couple nights for one reason or another. And when I don't sleep well, that impacts it. So I thought about it as I was having balance issues and stumbling and then getting back up and stumbling and getting back up. I thought about it and I thought, you know what? There are lessons in here, lessons that I learned that I think I want to talk about because I think they can help you because maybe you are experiencing challenges. If you're like other business owners, other small business owners out there, there's a lot that we need to navigate and a lot that we need to get through. And maybe you're one of those people. So, these three things I'm going to give you are things that I learned going through all of the therapy that I had to go through to get back to, but not even get back to be better than I was before and to continue to lead in a better way. So the first one is we have to have that willingness to change, that willingness to not be committed to being a firefighter all the time, that willingness to not be in reactive mode all the time, but that willingness to change, to be able to shift our perspective, um, to push past our comfort zone and really lean into what we need to learn. So often we want to, and so many people don't even realize they're doing it, that we don't want to leave that comfort zone because either we're afraid it's not going to work or we're afraid that we're going to leave this comfy area behind. So we want to just stay comfortable because challenging the norm is hard. That's what people think. But the truth is that challenging the norm is actually easier than staying in our comfort zone. And quite frankly, it's more exciting. So for me, pushing past that comfort of I could lay in bed all day and not do anything. I could just, stay in my house and not go out into the world and say, oop, if I get dizzy, because I have vertigo, if I have vertigo, like it would be easier if I just stay home and not go outside. So pushing past our comfort zone and challenging the norm actually becomes easier. It becomes more exciting than staying in that comfort zone and having that feeling of regret and not being able to not going after those things that we want to go after, not pushing past those challenges because what's on the other side of it is going to be even more amazing than what we thought. And leaning into learn what we need to learn. So I needed to learn a new way to lead because I couldn't lead the same way that I always led. I couldn't go about my day the same way that I always went about my day. The other thing that happened in this whole process of me getting injured was I looked at my life and I looked at the schedule that I was keeping as a director. I looked at the amount of hours that I was working. I looked at just how things were in my life. And for the first time ever, questions and said, is this all? Is this all I'm going to be able to do? And in that moment, my business partner, because I had started my first business already, my business partner, my best friend, that was when we made the decision we were going to get out of corporate America. We made the decision that we were going to leave and we were going to jump into entrepreneurship head on. It took 3 years, but we did it. And we built the business up so that we could end up leaving our corporate jobs. And part of that is that willingness to change is trusting the process. That these obstacles and challenges are coming our way, and we just need to trust the process. And instead of reverting and going back to that comfort zone, we need to lean into them and say, okay, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me? Because when we do that and we trust the process, again, the answers that we're looking for, or the direction that we're looking to go, or what we're looking to build, or how we can grow as a leader are going to be shown to us. Might not look the way that we want it to look, but it will be there. The second one is having a willingness to focus on balance and harmony and really understanding what that looks like. And in leadership, when we focus on balance or focus on creating that harmony between two opposites. So I like to say that, or I tell my clients all the time, you have to be willing to be convicted, but also balance it with adaptability and dancing with the two, dancing with conviction, saying, "This is what I want to do. This is what we need to do. This is our goal," and setting that, or this is what we believe in, or these are the truths that I have. But being adaptable and saying, "I'm willing to be open to seeing someone else's perspective," or "I'm willing that if you have an idea, I'm willing to hear what you have to say." But also, as obstacles come our way, being able to say, "You know what? We may need to go in a different direction, or we may need to shift the original strategy or goals that we had because now these changes have happened and we can either stay in the same place or we can choose growth. We can choose to move in a different direction. We can choose to have something new come into our business, or we can choose to grow and have that newness come from within us." So the second piece is to this whole thing is learning how to from that willingness to focus on balance and harmony. It's really learning how to rein in the chaos. So, okay, this obstacle has come our way, this challenge has come our way. So let's rein in the chaos and the confusion and the frustration and the things that are happening. So, okay, let's get some like let's assess the situation, as I like to say, and then at the same time, innovate. So we rein in the chaos by assessing what's going on, getting all of the pieces, and then saying, all right, how can we innovate? And that's where we tap into that creativity. So when I was going through my brain injury, when I was going through the rehab, reining in the chaos meant I need to get my balance. I need to get my footing. But at the same time, it was I'm going to push past this and I'm going to find something else that I can learn, something that can help me get over this hurdle. So we're dancing between conviction and adaptability. And at the same time, we are reigning in chaos while we're focusing on innovating in a creative way. Seems like two opposites, right? That is all part of that being open to trusting the process and being open to say, I'm not willing to stay in this current circumstance. What I am willing to do is I am willing to grow. I am willing to focus on what I need to do to make that positive change and that positive shift in my life, but also in your business. So, the third piece of this whole thing is really following the impulse to grow and to learn, even if it comes from feeling stuck and confused. So many times in my own business when I have been scaling and I have been going to that next level, that Teresa 2.0 or Teresa 5.0, whenever I have done that, I have felt stuck. I have felt confused. I didn't know what next step to take. I didn't know what plans to put into place or how to figure out, okay, what is that next version of my vision? I wasn't really sure what to do. And instead of, and many times over, I should say, I fought it. And I was like, no, I need to understand exactly what I need to do. I need to have all of the steps. And the truth is, that's not the case. So leaning into that confusion and that feeling stuck and saying, okay, keep asking the right questions. What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me? And instead of staying stuck or not making any moves until you have it all figured out, we just start looking at it and saying, okay, what feels right? Move from there. What feels right? Let's test this out. What feels right? All right, let's move from there, and we just keep going in that pattern. And all of those tests and all of those small steps that we take lead to bigger steps, lead to moving forward, lead to growth, lead to really saying and getting clarity on this is what I want to do and moving in that direction. But the truth is that there's only one thing constant in life, and that's change. And that's not going to be necessarily where you're going to stay. You're gonna have those times and those things that happen where you're gonna consistently push past those boundaries and those, push past those walls so that you're consistently growing. And no matter what's happening, no matter what circumstances are happening at that time, we don't wanna let those circumstances hold us in that place. We wanna make sure that we're pushing past it. So the times that I have felt when I've had and I've had some big ups and some big downs in my business, and the times that I have felt that confusion or I felt that frustration, or I've had those obstacles and challenges that have come in. I've gotten into the practice of saying, what is this really trying to show me? What is this trying to teach me? It's not trying to keep me stuck. It's not trying to hold me back from success. It's trying to show me a better way. It's trying to show me where I've been hindering my own growth and that maybe I have a superpower that I didn't even realize I had, or a skill that I needed to learn that I didn't even realize I needed to learn. And if that challenge or that obstacle never happened, I would have never gotten to the point where I learned that new skill. I did that new thing. I pushed past that obstacle. I found a superpower that I didn't even know that I had. And all of that helped me to achieve something that I never thought I would be able to achieve, or never even, it was never even on the board, as far as something I wanted to achieve. For me right now, that's writing a book. And going through a lot of obstacles that I went through last year pushed me to say, you know what? I want to write this book, and I'm going to write this book, and I'm going to get it done. And I set a deadline. Just like back then, 13 years ago, that life threatening call that Theresa, you need to go to the hospital, um, because you could die. That call was the call that woke me up to say, "Ooh, I have this superpower that I didn't really know that I had, for setting processes, for being a leader, to take that superpower that I had and then apply it back into a department so that I could be a better leader." And even today, I can teach people how to be better leaders, how to be a stronger CEO, and really how to really build that vision out and make sure that your team is helping you co-create it. I wouldn't have been able to do that if those challenges didn't happen to me. So the three things we want to do is we want to be able to have that willingness to change, to push past comfort, to lean into what we need to learn, and to really be open to trusting the process, to have that willingness. Number two, to find and focus on a balance, with harmony, to focus on balance and harmony in our life, to really look at things and balance being convicted and being adaptable, to really looking at our schedule and making sure that we have balance between focus time, and we have balance between planning, and we have balance between free time, and making sure that we're giving ourselves that rest to reflect and rejuvenate, and that we're not just in that go 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 mode. I used to say before the head injury that I before my dissection, that I was a powerhouse, and that no one could outwork me, because I was working 12, 14-hour days. I know now that that is not something we want to wear with a badge of honor. So, really making sure that we're focusing on that life harmony, and everything in our life, making sure that we have it all in check. The last one is making sure, or following that impulse to grow and to learn, even when you feel stuck and confused. Because even when we feel stuck and confused and not really sure what step to take next, we need to lean into that, because the steps that we need to take and those next bold moves are going to be found in the middle of that. So I hope that this episode helped you. I hope that, these times being a leader, the world needs better leaders. We don't need people who are just going to dictate. We don't need people who are just going to dole out tasks. We don't need leaders who are going to work 14 to 16-hour days burning themselves out. We don't need that. We need leaders who are going to dance with reigning in chaos and creating innovation in their business, that are willing to lead with empathy, willing to lead with vulnerability, willing to break break the rules, to really look at communicating and co-creating their vision with their team, and really, fixing what's inside our business so that we can really repair what's outside, because that's really what the world needs right now. So I hope this episode helped you. And until next week, have a great rest of your week. And let's all take care of each other just a little bit more than we already do. Okay, bye for now. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value on the show, please follow the podcast so you never, ever miss an episode. And I would love, love, love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for me. Even better, share the show with a fellow business owner ready to step fully into their CEO leadership role. Because right now, more than ever, the world really needs next level leaders. And by the way, did you know you can text me all your questions and get real-time feedback? You absolutely can. Just text the word CEO to me at 610-215-2838 to get connected. One last goodie for you before I go. If you're ready to scale your business and have a co-creator working right by your side, my C-Suite Mentor Program may be perfect for you and your possible new second in command. Just visit thecsuitementor.com to get started.